All right, y'all. So this is just should be a quick little video. I have a new, at least according to me, I think it's new, a new approach for how we could potentially get reparations, and unfortunately, it's kind of specific to just African Americans at the current moment, um, due to how the approach is, right? So the idea is because, especially even because of the particular government that's coming in, um, the MAGA folks, right? They're known to be pretty racist. They're known to, all that go back to Africa shit, right? So, and so not just, um, it's not just, for folks that are like African Americans, right? This is also kind of even more specifically for folks that are African American and actually want to go back to the continent, right? So with all that go back to Africa shit, right? We can have them put the money where their mouth is, and start a petition, circulate it. There's a good few signatures that we need, to actually even get it some recognition from the government for them to actually probably have a response, whether it's a no, a fuck no, or we'll think about it, or a yes, right? It would still need a very good few number of signatures, to show that there's enough people interested in this idea, um, and that we might agitate for it, right? So yeah, so anybody that's African American and wants to go back to Africa, all right. My thought is to petition the government and say that there's a certain amount of folks that were brought here and their ancestors worked the land and all that, yeah, but we are those descendants, right? And we'd like to go back, right? And the fact that we were brought here, you know, kind of takes, it should fact that we're brought here, right? It shouldn't be that we should have to pay our way to get back, right? Um, so for the plane ticket to get back should be paid for by the government. Um, Also, to start over in another country, even though the currency exchange right now, it favors Black American people, or Americans in general, right? Western countries and pretty much most of the world has a leg up in Africa based on their currencies and how it exchanges in Africa, right? But it still takes capital to do that, right? You can't just move back to Africa with like $10 and think you're gonna survive, right? Even if you have a good bit of money that's already saved, government should, you know, provide a little bit extra on top of that. And, you know, for us, you know, if that is actually a thing that they take seriously and they actually go through with it, right? Folks that would be going back, uh, it would be potentially our last agitation for ourselves, right? After that, we'd probably advocate for everybody else, and that it only makes sense to advocate for everybody else that didn't get um, a form of reparation. Or yeah, so that cash payment, about $40,000 per adult. So if it's a husband and wife couple, you know, together that'd be 80,000, right? And also kind of makes sense that there's maybe a certain amount per child. Um, if you have children, I don't have children right now, so I can't even begin to think of how much uh might need to actually facilitate that. But all plane tickets should be paid for by the government, so plane ticket should be free, uh, you know, per child. But then there should be another certain amount on top of that per child, right? Is given, and I think that's mostly it. I think certain amount of gold or silver, should also be given in coins to, because the dollar could go anywhere. It can implode tomorrow, and then the exchange rate somehow like used to be $1 for like 2,000 shillings or 2,000 naira, and then all of a sudden tomorrow is $1 is can't even buy you 1 naira. It can't even buy you a shilling. Can't buy you a CD. So you don't really know. So the gold will be to hold value, all right, just in case you know by the time you happen to get over there and the dollar becomes worthless, or the particular country that you want to go to uh, doesn't want to accept dollars in exchange for anything, or they stop trading with it as much, right? So it potentially becomes worthless in that particular country. Um, yeah. So that said, we'd also need participation and acknowledgement from other African countries, and to work with them and the governments there to actually um, take that idea seriously, to take our people in. Excuse me, and to have like uh, have a good place for us to land, uh, introducing us to the culture, have acclimation classes, teaching folks how to actually survive in that environment, um, the language classes, stuff like that, and like all kind of materials, how to do banking, how to set up business, you know, to do everything legitly, um, and a fast track to citizenship, which is like one of the number one things, right? Is a fast track to citizenship, and also yeah, fast track to citizenship. That's another main point. So airplane ticket, cash, gold, and working with African governments for citizenship and acclimation classes and training on how to navigate the environment. And I think that's the most of it. There's anything else, drop it in the comments. Um, I haven't started writing it yet. Appreciate if there's anybody that's a good writer to reach out, and we can project this, or print it out in a way that kind of makes it make sense to both parties. And I think that's the key part, is to kind of play on uh MAGA's interest to not have to deal with black people anymore because we're the problem somehow, and to make it seem like they're in the right, because that's sometimes you have to like negotiate that to get what you want. um Diplomacy, to have it written diplomatically, like as a good example. So recently Macron, he had his comments, and indirectly called Africans animals, all kind of stupid shit, right? And then uh, three countries in particular, I've seen them have a response. Chad had a response. It was very diplomatic, right? So they did it in a way that was like not to hurt French feelings. They did say all the same things that everybody else said, right? So Senegal, um, president didn't say anything. I think he's a puppet. Um, but the prime minister, who was supposed to be the president, right? He said something, and it was like a nice jab in the face, right? It was like, if our African people and brothers and sisters, our ancestors didn't help fight uh, in the World War, right? In their wars, right? The French could be speaking German right now, right? And it was a nice punch in the face. And Chad said the same thing, but it was kind of like muted. They didn't say it in a way that where it could be taken offensively, but it should have been in a way that could be taken offensively. In my opinion, I'd appreciate it if it was less diplomatic, right? And um, and then Burkina Faso, President Ibrahim Chaim, right? Traore, my bad. Like he actually had another punch. So it was like back to back punches, and he added on another layer. It was like, you know what, Macron, if he prays, he should be praying to Africans because we're the ones who save their ass, right? And yeah, I love that. But yeah, diplomacy, right? Um, to start, we might have to have just like a little ounce of diplomacy within it, and to not to beg, because we definitely aren't begging, right? But to get what we deserve. I've seen this Latin phrase. I forgot what it is. I'll probably post it later. Um, but it came on some official thing that I had, right? I had like some court papers, right? And I seen it, and it said like, can't even remember what it said, but I'll post it. But it's a Latin phrase, right? And we can put that kind of like in the title maybe. And but the translation in English is giving everyone what they deserve, or what is owed to them, right? And that, in itself, right, like title it like that, and to have it in Latin, I think they'd feel even more called to actually take it seriously and be like, you know we're using their own spells against them type way. um that's pretty much all I got to say about that. Like I said, you got any commentary, let me know. If you're a writer, let me know, and we can build from there. Okay, last part. um it's kind of in my estimation, in a ballpark range of the actual folks that would be eligible for this and actually even want to go. Um, Black America, I think we're like 40, I mean, 40, yeah, 40 million people. So it's like 10 to 12, 13 maybe percent of the population. Um, but of that 13%, of that 40 million of us that are here, right, in America, it's it's probably only like 5 to 10% of people that might actually consider this and take it seriously. And if that opportunity presented itself, would jump on it, right? Um, so that's another part that would have to be added within the petition, is to make it known that it might not be everybody that wants to go, but it'll be a nice significant uh, part of the population that might actually take it seriously and go. And 3%, I mean 5 to 10% of that 40 million, you know, is a few million still, right? And a few million of us leaving, like, they're gonna see the effects of it. They're gonna realize that they probably really actually wanted us here, you know. And then while I'm thinking about it, there's also the issue of folks who have businesses, right? So there'd have to be some kind of way where um, folks with businesses, if you had a business, um, let me know how you would transition, like, because especially if it's like a hands-on business, if it's like drop shipping or something like that, you have like online businesses, you're a writer, like you write for companies, or you do certain things that's online, like it's not a big deal. You probably can move easily and still do what you're doing here in Africa, um, almost just as easily. But folks who have like brick and mortars, like the Caribbean shops, if you sell, you know, uh, if you have like a brick and mortar store like that, if you have that kind of shop, like how would you think about transitioning? Because there's a possibility of maybe you still want to have the shop, but you want to have somebody that's in place that you can trust to run the business while you're gone, or you know, other stuff, or you want to close it, but you want to make sure that everything's all good uh, in closing it, and all that other stuff. So, like I say, if you have anything in general, just post it, and we'll build from there.